sit people throughout like.
So, quick question: are you still working at that restaurant, or are you
Yeah,
out of work?
I'm still working, but we had to like completely change our menu again for a third time to deal with how they shut the shit down because we had it all set up where like we bought heaters, we had the outside spacing to sit people throughout like the cold, like as it got colder, and then when they closed it down, now we can only do hotel guests and carry out. So it's like it's weird because the hotel guests can kind of just you can stay at the hotel, eat through the restaurant, and kind of just like it's a gray area of the whole thing because you're staying at a hotel.
Right.
So like when you stay at the hotel, you can kind of do this, but you're not supposed to do that. But you can do that because it's a hotel setting.
Right. Right.
It just don't make sense.
Yeah. So, can you like give me the idea of like what the different phases have been in different like COVID moments?
So like, in the beginning, like we shut down just for because it seemed like it was bad, basically, and like it just seemed like the right thing to do to protect the staff and all that stuff. And when we were going to open back up, we had our own like technical issues at the job that we like just basically took it as like a revamping moment for like the hotel, the restaurant, and just create a new idea. Because going through it, before we were a fine dining establishment. Basically, what we thought was when we come back out of this, there's going to be people with less money due to the pandemic, so we have to like cater to them people now. We have to make it more approachable, more affordable for everyone to enjoy. When before it was kind of just affordable for the upper class.
Right.
So we try to make the restaurant more affordable to like middle class, lower class, not just the upper class. And like honest, when we were open like to the 50% capacity, then it went down to 25% capacity. We got good reviews from the people who'd never been there before, but the people who were there before had like some backlash to it. They were like, "This isn't what we were used to.
Yeah, they
This
don't
is
want that
yeah."
kind
They
of
didn't
job
they
there.
didn't really want it, and it was just like, "Well, this isn't just for you guys. This is like to create a sustainable business throughout this pandemic to get people in that normally aren't in there, not just you guys, you know." And I mean, we've had to rewrite the menu like three different times to like price point and like just to attract different people to come in instead of like serving just like foie gras on this way. Like we had to like make it more approachable that someone who didn't know what fucking foie gras was be like, what is this? And like I like this, so maybe I'm gonna try this and then eat it for a
Right.
cheaper price, basically.
What before what was like the highest price on the menu? What was the highest? Yeah.
Before like our highest price item, it would range. Like we would do a special, and our specials could go from being like a $70 special to like, I mean, we would have A5 Wagyu on the menu, and it would be like $150. You know, now the difference is like we the normal price of something there now is like $30 compared like before the average price was like $40 for an entree. Appetizers before were $20 appetizers, and now there's $12 appetizers and $16 appetizers.
Right.
Before everything was 20 and above, and that even like a salad was $20 for a salad. Like it just because we were using ingredients that were kind of like from around the world that were like sourced because they are the best. Now we switched our like mentality to ingredients that are locally sourced to support everyone else because we know we're going through it. We know the local farmers are going through it. We know like local businesses that make honeys and jams and like make cakes and things like that. They're going through it. So we like what we try to do is utilize like Maryland, Virginia, Pennsylvania with basically 80% of our sourcing of like all of our foods, and all of our like bought-in goods.
In my book, that's a really good thing, just
Yeah.
generally.
Yeah, it's nice,
feel
you
like,
know.
Yeah, it kind of
It's great, but to be honest, the thing is, when you serve fine dining food, people really don't care that it comes from a farm in Pennsylvania. If this piece of pork is not the best pork that you can buy, and there's better out there, why don't you have that best pork that you charge this price for? I mean, Maryland's known for like rockfish or crabs, you know. Basically, that's the two biggest like fish or like anything that comes from the sea that comes out of Maryland. But if you want a salmon, I don't want a salmon from. I don't want a salmon from like a river. I want a salmon from New Zealand because they have the best salmon in the world, or king salmon's best salmon in the world. Like you can just flay it up, slice it open, and just eat it. It's delicious.
There
Like-
is an argument though for like local actually being
Yeah.
fresher, you know.
Fresher, but
'cause
but
it doesn't travel as far.
that's true. But it doesn't mean it's fresher because you may think it's fresher, right? You may think that something that only travels 20 mile or like only travels 4 hours up the road down to you is fresher. That may be the cause, but that's what you may that's what you may think. But when it comes to like what we have with the shipping and get a fish from Japan to our front doorstep within 24 hours that is sealed, and it will come to me still live. It will get to me shipped from Japan to Baltimore still live, and when I take it out the box, it will be moving.
That's like a traumatized fish right there.
I mean,
no, but I hear
but
what you're
it's
saying.
like whether like so when you deal with high quality items, they're handled in a high quality way. When you deal with items that come from right up the street, maybe they're better, maybe they're not, but they're not handled with as much
Sure.
care that they are when it comes to these type of like truffles and like I remember we bought wild strawberries from France last year, and we paid a fucking fortune for them, but they were the second pick of the season, wild strawberries from France, and how they were delivered here was someone brought them onto a plane, took them off of the plane, traveled with them, took them off of the plane, had like a seat for them, and then delivered them to us. And we paid a shit ton of money for them, but they were amazing.
But I feel like if you're a farmer, like, and you're about your craft, you're going to handle you're gonna handle your food in a quality way. And if you find vendors that are
How much is it perception? Yeah, right?
yeah, like I feel like
sure,
if
it's
you,
from France.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you find a farmer, I feel like, well, the farmers I've come in contact, they take pride in their work.
Mhm.
So I feel like
You
they
can
would
take
handle it.
pride in your work all the time, but like you can grow something that is very good, but there's always unless there's things that are always better. Like there's certain like chanterelles. Yeah, you can get chanterelles. They're pretty good, but if you get a Saskatchewan chanterelle, they're much better by size, by flavor, by density, by the way they look.
I would,
And it doesn't mean a lot to people who just normally eat regular food or just eat. This is the difference, like from fine dining to lower fare, below fine dining. If you look at any like fine dining restaurants in like New York, DC, they source the best product for that. And then when you source the best product, you don't have to do much with it because you just show what it is with that. When you have products that are close but not as good, then you mess with the flavor and you kind of lose exactly what it is. You lose just the simplicity of it. When you work with the finer ingredients, you don't really need to add much to it. It is what it is, and it's that great because it is that great.
And I also would say, like, maybe the difference is your argument I would agree with is, like, if the plant is native to a certain area, it does taste different.
Right.
and that's good. But I mean, I don't know. Like it's both arguments. I feel like I'm more on the still
There's a
more on the
logic to
side.
both,
Yeah.
but like I've certainly had experiences where I was like profoundly like affected by like, oh, like the locality of something
Mm-hmm.
changed the flavor. Like I didn't know that banana could have that much flavor
Mhm.
when I was eating it in Ecuador.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, this is what a banana tastes like. This is a whole dimension of like something that just doesn't exist in the States, period.
Mhm.
And it's because I literally just pulled this off the tree, you know?
Yep.
And it's like, phew, okay.
It's like
The world
it's-
is bigger than I thought.
Yeah, and it's native and it has the right and growing environment, and I mean you can manipulate that, but I feel like it's different when
Right.
it's
But it does bring up an interesting, like, how do you handle, or how do, like, what are some uncomfortable moments that happen in regard to, like, class difference, um, you know, within sort of, like, the restaurant industry? I'm curious.
It's like it's so you get people that come in there like that know it's a fancier place and they pretend like they know what it is, and then they order it and then they realize, oh, this has mushrooms in it. I don't like mushrooms. Like, for example, beef Wellington with duxelle, right? It's like, okay, beef Wellington, duxelle. What's duxelle? Duxelle's mushroom. And it's like, I like beef. And then you describe it or whatever, and they don't think about, they don't like mushrooms, and they just order it because it's a pricier item on the menu or something like that. And then when they get it, it was like, does this have mushrooms? Like, well, it has duxelle, which is mushroom. And that I think that's one of the things that happens all the time. But for the most part, like if you have a good waiter or a waitress, they should be able to evaluate. I think that's what separates good restaurants from great restaurants is like making people, the wait staff, making people who aren't that comfortable and eating in a higher price food environment comfortable with what they like and not feeling uncomfortable about asking questions of like, what does this mean on the menu? What is this or that? And like a lot of places, there's a disconnect between the the wordage and the food to the people because I mean people use $5 French words all the time. For example, we put something on the menu called a dauphinoise, potato dauphinoise, which is basically a it's just potatoes sliced thin, cream. You press it and then you cut it. So basically, it's like scalloped
yeah.
potato or potato gratin.
Mm-hmm.
We put it on potato dauphinoise. No one ordered it. We switched it 3 days later to potato gratin with parmesan. We sold 10 of them. It's the unfamiliarity with the words. I think some people like what always pisses me off is like I would say this like a wonton is an empanada is a pierogi is a ravioli. It just changes culture, what in concept of what it is, but culturally it's different. Like you look at an empanada, or Jamaican patty, like you use your ingredients around you, but it's something. It's basically a pastry of some sort, stuffed with something stuffing, either fried, boiled, or fried, boiled, or sautéed, or whatever it is.
Right, right.
So it's just different cultures of it, and like some people will know what a pierogi is, but won't know what an empanada is, like that.
Right.
But you had a version of an empanada before if you had a pierogi. It's very similar.
That's interesting. Do you see patterns like in terms of? I mean, no, I'll ask a different question. But how do you feel? How did you feel about the recent closing shit down?
Angry. I feel everyone's tried so hard to make it work, and there's small examples in the city that didn't do it correctly, and that affected all of us. The small examples being restaurants oversitting people, allowing people to be up without their mask, and that caused the spread of COVID. and everyone has to suffer. Our hotel and restaurant, we have 60 employees. We've been open for 3 months. We haven't had one person test positive for COVID because we took the correct precautions to deal with the situation, and we done it correctly. Honestly, we should be the the example of how you run a restaurant and business when things reopen, of how to do it correctly. Because the people that didn't do it correctly is the reason why it's shut down now. I know Brandon Scott shut it down to save people's lives and all that, but also he's killing people's lives, livelihood, doing it. Like
Has occupancy changed?
in the hotel,
Mm-hmm.
no, occupancy stay the same. I mean, it's only been since Friday, but we've been doing since it's like during the times like we've been all hotels been closed Sunday, Monday. We're only open Tuesday to Saturday, um, Tuesday to Sunday evening. That's what we're open now, and the hotel reservations stay the same. I mean, on when was it? Tuesday we had 12 rooms out of 18, like people there. So it's like that hasn't changed. I just it just sucks because so many people invested money into outdoor seating and all that, and they can't even use it now. And it's like, when is it going to stop? Who knows? I don't think it's going to come back until February, honestly. And then before February, it don't make sense. Why would you close it down for a month and then just reopen it less than a month already?
Supposed to be like 6 weeks.
Yeah, we'll see.
What do people do? What did like people who have no savings? It seems
Which is
like
a lot of restaurant industry people. I
right,
mean,
Yeah.
right.
it sucks, but it is what it is. And even if you had savings and you were laid off for the last 5-6 months, you depleted your savings.
And landlords don't seem to. I mean, like I'm sure there's individual cases of landlords being like, all right, fine, you don't have to pay rent, but
Yeah.
like for the most part, I think eviction moratorium ends. Is that something that like at start of at the start of the new year?
Yeah.
But is that something that like on a local level is implemented, or is that the governor?
Well, no, they can. I think they can implement it on a local level.
I'd hope
I
so.
think because, but at this point, you see all the counties and shit closing down. Like it's gonna have to be through the governor that because, I mean, Anne Arundel County's closing down, Baltimore City's closed down. I think 2 more counties closed down. Like Eastern Shore is fine, and then out west is fine. But like, the center of this
Clearly, the
state.
cold weather or something like makes, or just maybe we're just reaching a point where COVID is just spreading
I think it's.
more.
I think what, like I said earlier, I think it's Halloween. The people that spread the most went out Halloween, and were packed in the clubs. No mask on because once you're in a club, you have to have a mask on.
Right.
You didn't have to have a mask on in the club?
You did, but you didn't. And there's been multiple places that have been shut down because they weren't doing their COVID protocols correctly. But they shut them down for a day and then they opened back up. Like, these places should not just be able to open back up. They should, if you get shut down for COVID, like you're shut down, I think it should be 2 weeks. Because basically, if you get COVID, basically you have to quarantine for 2 weeks.
Right.
If you're saying someone went against the regulations and basically were spreading COVID in their place, I think they should have to shut down for 2 weeks. And like the fines that were put to people weren't great enough that multiple restaurants in the city got multiple fines because they got one fine. It was like, okay, we can do that again
Right.
because we make that in a Friday night. Like it doesn't matter, you know.
Right.
Like
And across industries, it seems like regulations are different, which makes sense in some respects, but not you know.
what I think, like with it, COVID spreads in parties, in big parties, and the one thing that everyone's been saying is like when you eat at a restaurant, you take your mask off and you're sitting there without a mask. And when you go like instead of like when you go to a grocery store, everyone has their mask on all the time.
Right.
But I don't go out to eat with random people. I go out to eat with friends and family that I know, and I'm going to be around them anyway. And they're going to be the main people of contact that I'm going to spread this to.
Right.
Like, will I walk past someone in the hallway? Yes, I will. But when I walk past them in the hallway, I put my mask on. So what's the difference of me walking past you in the hallway to go to the bathroom than it is me walking past you in the aisle getting food?
Right.
If anything, you're touching something, I'm touching something. The only contact of touch I have with someone who isn't within my family at a restaurant is the bathroom handle or the sink. And then I wash my hands immediately after or before. And then I go back and sit down.
Right.
When it just doesn't make sense why we shut that off. Like, to me, that don't make sense. I don't think you should be able to. You shouldn't be able to shut down restaurants because I don't think that's the cause of the spreading. The cause of the spreading of it is people not correctly handling the COVID precautions in a restaurant, and that's what we have to get tighter on. Not making everyone else pay for the things that the people for the restaurants that are doing things wrong. Like, there's a lot of restaurants out here that haven't invested in like PPE, masks, like sanitary stations, hand sanitizer throughout the restaurant, things like that. They're the places that the health department should come in and be like, this isn't up to the COVID standard. You have to shut down until it gets here. But the places that are up to standard, there's no one coming in or going out of the place to have COVID. And it's not spreading there. It's spreading in these smaller mom and pop restaurants that don't have enough money to afford hand sanitizer stations. And I'm sorry, if you don't, then you have to like get up to the standard, or you have to shut down until you get to that standard. That's what's causing spreading there.
Or make subsidies so everyone.
Yeah, that's
if you make it easier, maybe people would do it. Like, give them subsidies. If you're buying all these things, you need to be reimbursed for it, for taxes, or it needs to be a tax write-off or something.
Because I think what's interesting to me about like it hitting wealthy restaurants or restaurants with like wealthy clientele
umbrella's right there.
is that, you know, it's like the severity of COVID is a direct result of, like, you know, a capitalist system that values some people's opinion more than others. And that's something that's just always, you know, like, COVID hits all classes.
Yeah.
But, like, there have been there's a constant crisis throughout our entire lives and throughout American history that's hit lower classes. And it's still, you know, and, like, to me, there's something, like, potentially volatile about this moment where, like, if enough people really feel like, okay, we're kind of in this together, some sort of political shift and change might be able to happen. Because it's like, yeah, I mean, like, typically in a capitalist system, like the small, you know, small businesses are the ones who struggle the most and get, you know, don't get very far because they don't have like a broad enough network of, like, you know, established financial kind of like support to keep going. But like, it's bringing everybody down.
Yeah.
Besides cryptocurrency.
If you don't want to give people stimulus checks or provide more unemployment, like, you have to give to help themselves. Like, you can't take everything away and then expect why aren't you guys doing anything? Like, people aren't just sitting there with their hands out either. But it's just crazy. It's a really fucked up situation.
Yeah, you can't take someone's livelihood away and not help them. Like, if you're going to close down restaurants, before you close down restaurants, there had to have been a plan in place that says, okay, we're closing down restaurants. Anyone who is furloughed, this is where you have to go. Proof of your furlough, and we're going to help you. Whether it's like you get an extra $200-$300 a month on like food stamps or extra $100 a week through unemployment. This is how we're going to help you. There was no plan for that. It was just like, shut you down, good luck. And it's like, no, like, that's not how it should work. You're denying someone to make money at their profession. Like, And like I see a lot of people saying, like, people who are in the industry who are like teachers or office workers, like, this is a good job, great job. It's like, you are able to work from home. You're a teacher. You're working from home right now. You're still getting paid. These people can't work from home.
Right.
Like, as good as it sounds like that you're saving people's lives, you're also putting you're putting people in debt. You're putting people behind on the bills.
Especially
and like
around the holidays.
And around the holidays, whether you believe in the holidays or not, it doesn't matter. Like, it is what it is. You're putting people behind in their bills. There's people who Tuesday had a job with 3 kids, and then Wednesday, when he shut the restaurant down, lost their job Thursday. 3 weeks before Christmas.
Right.
That have kids. And like, this isn't just like one person. Like, this is a lot of restaurant industry people. We're normally like the degenerates that didn't go to college, didn't graduate high school, but we found our way in the world to make something special for others.
Right.
And then we want to do it, and then we're denied the opportunity to do it. It's like, it's not like we're getting forced to work. We want to work to make money to survive. Unless there's another option that we don't have to work and survive. I mean, fucking Junkie's been doing it for ages. They've been making money off of welfare and all this shit. But when actual people who've been working their asses off need money and support from the government locally, where is it? Like, it isn't there.
Well, I wouldn't make that sort of comparison with the people on support, but like, I would definitely say that, you know, like, what's most annoying is that the people who have been irresponsible are not the people who are directly affected by things like this, right? It's like the people who like have it's folks who don't have things where they realize they have to be held accountable to their behavior, who are like actually the ones who like go to these parties, or, you know, like, are the COVID spreaders. And because of that, it's like a situation where, yeah, it's always the poor who are punished, you know.
Yep.
And this is just sort of I think that it is sort of like clear that like cases are spiking more, and so like more action on the government level is like appropriate. But you know, like, if
need to be a warning.
like what is possible, I mean, like, you know, defund the police and give universal basic income, like that should be the next move, you know. or something in the vein of sort of like support, financial support, and other kind of you know, because more people than ever are out of options.
And I feel like I just really right now feel for like single mothers. Like, I can't even imagine what that's even like. It's just,
yeah, to be with your kids, like,
to be
in
with
the
your
midst of
kids
this, or...
all the time. They're always home or having to work and come back, and then they're always there, like,
right,
or finding someone to take care of your child while you have to go to work because they're not in school. It just, I can't imagine. But yeah, I feel like they should have definitely gave a warning, like, this is going to happen within the next 2 weeks. It shouldn't have been so sudden. And then everyone could have had a chance to prepare, because at this point, people were in the mind that they were going to have a job, so they probably did some Christmas shopping. Like, they probably have even less money than they did before. So,
yeah,
I don't know.
Anyway, yeah, do you have any final... Well, I feel like this was a good little... I mean, it touches on stuff rather than, like, really gets into the heart of... But, like, we're all just kind of coping, trying to figure out how to make shit.
The thing is like, for me, if you close down the restaurants now, when is the correct time to reopen? Because although the cases were getting worse, it was expected to get worse. I don't think it went disproportionately askewed from what the numbers were saying that it was going to do. Like, I think this was already told that it's going to get worse during the winter, and then it's going to calm back down. Like, at what number do you reopen things?
Right.
Do you reopen when it's 0? Mm-hmm. Or do you reopen when it's 100 cases a day in the city, and then it's just going to do the same thing over.
Right.
Because there's not going to be vaccines for every single person.
Mm-hmm.
So when do you stop the stranglehold on the restaurants?
Right.
And say, okay, you guys can reopen. And it's not going to be like completely reopen. It's going to be like 25%. Then we'll get to 50%. Then we'll get to 75%. Then we'll get to 100%. Like, before it's 100%, like, what? It's going to be 2 years from now before it's 100%.
Right.
I don't, like, with the rate it is, like, unless everyone gets a vaccine in the city, like, every restaurant is going to have to get smaller. It's going to get more conventional.
And half of them are going to be out, like they're going to shutter completely.
Yeah.
You know, before that happens.
Because I don't even know, like, Baltimore, if they're not really having, like, the summertime, they have, like, conventions every day, and that's what really packs the restaurants. The baseball games, like, if they're not doing that, then what?
Right.
Yeah, like, the baseball game's not being open this year, and people going there destroyed the restaurants around there. Like, you think outside of Camden Yards, no matter how shitty the Orioles are, outside of Pickles Pub is always packed every game.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's a Wednesday night or a Sunday night baseball, there's 60, 70 people there. Without anyone coming into the city to watch the game, there's 15 people. And it's like, yeah, you made a lot of money before off of this, but like, you just took all that away. Like, I just, not they being in the government, but COVID took it away. And now when people adapted to it and try to make it a way that they could still get these potential people coming into the restaurant, it was just shut down and killed for outside seating and stuff like that. It was just...
What's your family been able to, like, anything within kind of like a...
I mean, like my mom, she works for Amazon. They're busier than ever. There's 300 some people that work in the warehouse, 6 feet away from each other with a mask. My dad, he's an insulator. They work basically individually. Him and another guy. They normally wear masks, so it doesn't really matter. It doesn't affect them at all.
Yeah.
I mean, my mom, she works at the Boston Street facility, and like there's been, she said, probably like 35-40 cases that have been through there, and
I didn't know there was one on Boston Street.
that's what she just deals with it.
Right.
I mean, they're busy as hell, man. Amazon's busy as hell.
Yeah.
It is.
They do more shit now than they ever did.
Right.
And it shows in their stock. It's like fucking almost $4,000 of stock.
Our building in one day hit we shipped out 1 million packages in one day.
How many?
1 million.
1 million? Yeah.
There's like a club or something that they have. There's not a lot of facilities that hit that, but I guess it was like a big deal for them.
My mom told me she touches about 40,000 packages a week, and a 5-day, 50-hour work week. And right now, because it's the holidays, her facility is making mandatory 55 hours a week.
Mandatory.
Yeah, there's mandatory overtime there.
Yeah, mandatory overtime.
The only reason why I don't work it,
Yep.
Sorry?
The only reason why I don't work is because I have the accommodated schedule, but I would have to, after this week, my schedule, they might make me start doing mandatory overtime again.
Wow.
Yeah. My mom basically, she does 5 days a week, but she has like her vacation times that she hasn't used. So when she has to meet that mandatory 55 hours, she works 50 hours, and for the last like 3 weeks she's been using her overtime or her personal time off for that extra 5 hours to meet the minimum.
I'm curious, how much is there like a general political consciousness of like, this isn't right, you know?
Yeah, I mean...
They don't have a union. Amazon doesn't have a union.
They don't.
They've union bust.
In America. In Europe they have a union.
Really?
There's a European Amazon union, but not in the United States.
That's systematically because they've been undermined.
And as each employee is required to, like, they want you at a minimum to pack 60 boxes per hour.
Yeah.
so that you can't go talk.
I mean, people
with
talk
other people,
yeah,
but right.
like it's I mean, it's basically, for the most part, people don't talk. Like they're just like
right.
Like robots building boxes,
and
putting things in boxes.
Amazon doesn't give a fuck about mental health issues that
shift work.
Clearly.
I mean, I will say they have good health insurance. I mean, my mom has pretty damn solid health insurance through them. The 401k my mom's involved in is pretty damn good. You can buy it, like you can buy a part of their stock. I mean, actually, like me and my chef looked this up last night because we were talking about it. Amazon employs 1.7 million people. So if you just think about that, if 1.7 million people we're all into the 401k, right? And they match $10 of whatever you put in. Every check of 1.7 and $10, that's $17 million per check that they're just giving into your 401k, just worldwide.
Right.
That's a shit ton of money. Like,
yeah, but that still doesn't even drop a penny in what Jeff Bezos
You're right.
worth.
You're right. It doesn't.
Trillion.
Yeah, like that's like a sneeze for him. He's like,
because like actual
well,
ownership of the company,
he still gets $1 trillion on top of investing $17 million each check for everyone.
Well, but that's what I hate about sort of the way that capitalism works is it gives the crumbs. It gives enough that people just aren't like, you know
upset.
What? Well, they're upset, but they're upset but contained, and it's the containment that's fucked. Because it's like I mean, like, you know, if you're talking about 1.7 million people, right? Like, people just working in Amazon to, like, really move, you know, the way that the corporate structure, you know.
Well, the reason I think there's not a union in Amazon is because Amazon it seems to be a temporary job for most people.
It's like
there's not people that say, I'm going to be an Amazon worker until the day I die.
Right.
You know, it doesn't happen.
Well,
like,
and they use that to like be like, yeah, well, okay, you threaten us, you're fired.
They have
it's like
They have this thing. It's called the offer, and they will pay you $2,000 to quit Amazon, but you can't ever work at any other Amazon facility, anything that is a subsidy of anything that Amazon owns. You cannot work for that company. You sign like a waiver, basically.
Wait.
And I'm like, that's stupid. I mean, they offer that to you. It's called the offer. And at the end of peak season, after they hire everybody, they sit you in a room and they tell you like what the it's like their quarterly meeting. So what they did for the quarter, and basically then they present the offer to you. And if you stay in the room, then you basically are like, okay, you won it, or you can leave.
Huh. And it's just to ensure.
It's to ensure. I don't know what it is to ensure.
So that it's turnaround and temporary employees always.
Mm-hmm. But you're actually messing yourself up because like Amazon owns so much, and you don't know what Amazon has its hand in everything. Basically,
it's got a monopoly on books. Yes. I know that.
So it's like
at least digital, whatever.
In the future, like you might not be able to work anywhere.
Right. Yeah. Right. They would take over everything if they could. Shit. Well,
yeah.
That's intense. That's interesting. Wait, could you just say what you said about like the history of like
unions?
Yeah, just a different.
Just like in Hamden, like it was a factory-run town 30, 40 years ago. There was multiple factories in Hamden, and everyone worked there. Your mom worked at the factory, your dad worked at the factory, and then you would get a job at the factory when you were young. And that's why they were able to create a union, because you were a union. It was your neighborhood people working with each other at the neighborhood business, at the neighborhood factory. What Amazon has done, they took all these places that used to be factories and just made them under one roof instead of separate roofs, and basically separated people from the community and just made them under a roof where no one's united under. That's why Amazon doesn't have a union, because people come and go, whether instead of like when it came to like factories 30, 40 years ago, this was a job that you worked until
you were dead basically. That sounds fucked up, but that's what it was.
Yeah.
But there's a sense of identity around it too.
and you would get it.
That's what you were doing. I mean, this still exists in like Italy when it comes to making like there's towns in Italy that only do this specific thing, like Parmigiano Reggiano. It's only in this specific area. Champagne is only in this specific area. It's and that's in France, but like these are like things that were to this city, this town that they just stuck with for 100 years.
Right.
America used to have these things, but
like artisans.
it became too big. They blew up the little guys and made one big guy.
Right.
And now that's what Amazon is.
Yeah.
He's running all the shit. Whether you want to get your shoes made, when you want a pair of shoes, or if you want to buy a toy car, it comes from Amazon. Before there was a factory that shipped out cars and made shoes and they shipped them out. Now it's just like, I'll just go to Amazon. They do everything.
I feel like what trained what trained us though to think that was okay though, it started with Walmart. Like having things under one roof. It started with Walmart, big box stores, and then when like people weren't shopping on the internet like that in the 90s.
Right.
And then I would say like around 2000.
Because it took like 30 minutes to get online.
Yeah, I mean even in 2000s, like people were still going to the mall, like early 2000s. But then we had like some shifts, and we realized like, hey, I can get something on Amazon or get something online, and it will be at my door really quickly, and I don't have to go outside. I don't have to park. I don't have to do anything. Like we're getting away from like just people in general in our lives.
Well, I feel like that's where the disconnect like is like the technique, like disconnect, I mean like disperse of people so that they don't talk to each other, you know, like keep people, which is why like this moment with COVID and everybody being inside and is kind of like the ideal for like a corporation like Amazon, where it's like as much as possible we've just systematically been divided, like and to the point where it does seem like this COVID is like this gift to like rich people, you know,
like billion-dollar corporations,
right?
I mean, Walmart's comeback to Amazon Prime. It took them a long while to get to this, but now there's Walmart Plus. So if you order anything through Walmart, if you have Walmart Plus, it gets delivered faster and for free now.
Right.
So basically, Amazon Prime, because they realized they were losing so much money to Amazon Prime, because it was like, I can get the same thing. It may be cheaper from Walmart, but it's going to take 8 days to get to me. I can order something from Amazon, the same exact thing, and get it in free for $2 more. I'll just get the $2 more.
Right.
Even even stores are like pairing with Amazon. I think like if you buy something from Amazon and you want to return it, I think you could return it at Kohl's. Like, I'm like even stores, everybody's being forced to like.
As a filmmaker, I refuse to give them my content. Like you know, like it's the best platform if you want to sort of like sell your work. But you know, it's like hold up, no, the integrity. Like they ask for everything, and that's why they're Amazon. You know, they steal people's lives. You know, essentially, and force you know, to like, you know, it's like there's you know. Sure, you know, like they're very good at what they do.
Yes.
At like just transporting things from one place to another and making it cheap as possible.
They're good at they don't even do the transporting. They made it so you have to use. They have hired people, independent giving people things. They hire independent contractors. You have to buy the vehicle. You invest in it, and you pick up things from Amazon's facility. And then you have to do a certain quota, and then that's how you get paid. But they don't give you health insurance. They don't do any of that.
And wait, and you drive around with the Amazon insignia on your car?
Yes. So like those cars with the minivans, the people that own those cars.
So they
have fleets, and it costs like a 40 or 50,000 investment, 40 or 55,000 investment. It's like a package you buy from Amazon. They'll give you the trucks and maybe training, and you develop a team yourself, and basically you're an independent contractor.
So they're just never they will not give dollars to anyone to like just to be supportive. Shit.
And then they have Amazon Flex, where you basically are using your own personal car. I did that before, where it's an app, and and it gives you like a time slot, a 2 hour time slot, and it give you like maybe 8 to 10 packages and they give you a route, and you get a guaranteed like $70 for the 2 hours.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, like logistically, I understand. Like, like that type of thing, it's because you put all the fault in the independent or the high fault with them anymore. Like at the restaurant, I always ask, why do we have a company that does valet for us?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we have a security team that can do valet? And the problem is when you take that responsibility of becoming a valet for random people's cars, your insurance for that is through the goddamn roof. It's much cheaper to hire a company to come in to take that responsibility straight off your hands as a valet company and just to handle all these cars and move them as they please. Because if they will get in an accident, it has nothing to do with you. It has to do with the person that we hired.
Right.
That's their insurance. If we would keep the security people and make them do the valet, and we got an accident, our insurance would like multiply before even the accident happened, and then when the accident happened, it would be detrimental to what we had to pay. At that point, like you just like,
Right.
You
okay,
take the
we
liability.
contract you to do this job,
Right.
and you just wipe your hands on it.
Well, yeah. So it's like the safest way for they protect themselves.
Yeah,
of
they're
course they
protecting
protect themselves.
themselves.
But
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I feel like just in any aspect or any business, any big business, they're always protecting themselves. They're always looking out for themselves.
Right.
And
which is why like the law. Well, we'll cut this short. But like the idea that corporations are people, which is now in law,
yeah,
is purely for the interest of like screwing over young. I mean, like independent individuals, and not, you know, in the interest of general population. All right. Thank you guys.
yay, we did it. We did it again.